Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 466, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. And in this week's episode, I am delighted to share with you an interview that I did with Luria Petrucci. Now, those of you who have been in the podcasting space for a very long time, you might still not recognize that name because Luria is also known as, or previously known as, Callie Lewis from geekbrief.tv, then geekbeat.tv, and more recently, Geeks Life and Geeks University. We're going to talk about her journey of getting into the world of podcasting, being one of the very first video podcasters ever in existence, how she connected with Adam Curry, co-creator of podcasting. But more than anything, what I'm most excited about and what I hope that you'll also come away from this interview with are the insights into her entrepreneurial journey. The things that she shared about how she made things happen. She just didn't wait for things to come to her, but she took action. There's lots of insights. In fact, I've actually taken a page and a half of notes as I was editing this show of just little tiny insights. And I think that if you were in such a place right now that you could sit down and listen to this episode and you had a pad of paper and a pen or some kind of way of tracking little insights that might come to you as you're listening to this episode, I think you're going to walk away with this episode with some insights that will help you take your message, your business, and your life perhaps to the next level. I'm very thankful to Luria for coming on the show, and when you hear the transparency and authenticity that she brought to the conversation, I think that you'll be very thankful as well. Well, my friends, here's my interview with Luria right now. Luria, I am so delighted to have you back on the podcast. It's been years.
It really has. Wow. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
So, I've already done the introduction, told people who you are, but man, a lot has been going on in your own entrepreneurial journey.
You can say that again. I don't know if there's a word that a lot doesn't quite capture it. There has been a tremendous amount going on.
Well, one thing that fascinates me is people's journey in creating business online. And I want to go all the way back to the beginning and just kind of give people a feel of the ebb and flow of how things have come about. But one thing I want to know is, and this is something that I still don't know today, who were you and what were you doing before you ever heard of podcasting?
So a couple of things. Back in the 90s when the internet bubble was a thing. Hey, I think we're back there in that time again.
Yeah, no doubt.
The first internet bubble. That was I was doing web development for clients here and there, and after the bubble burst, I kind of was struggling. At the time, my husband and I were just like, wow, we don't know what to do. And so we wound up in self-storage of all things,
wow.
Managing a storage facility. It was really great because it started to get me out of my shell. I was a super, super, super shy person. Most people will not believe me when I say that. And but it's true. I was called a snob as a kid because I wouldn't talk to anybody. And it wasn't because I thought I was better than anyone else. I just didn't know how to talk to people. And so that started the process of getting me out of my shell a bit, having to interact with customers on a daily basis. And more importantly, it taught me business. I was managing somebody else's business, somebody else's money, but it taught me budgets and it taught me that whole process of running a business like it was my own. It set the base for a lot of what I even use today.
That's awesome. So when did you discover podcasting? When was the first time you ever heard the term or even came across your first podcast?
2005 was the year. I actually heard about podcasting from Adam Curry. He was the MTV VJ that everybody knows from the 80s. He had created a podcast network called Pod Show. And I heard him talking on NPR. He was doing an interview about this podcasting phenomenon. And that was the first time I'd really heard about it. And I fell in love with the idea. He made it sound so interesting, and I became aware of this world where ABC and NBC and all these big networks didn't have a say in who you could be. It wasn't a buffer of having an audience. And so the internet kind of really opened up at that level in terms of you being in control of your own destiny and creating your own audience. Now, I'd never been interested in being in front of the camera or behind a microphone. Like I said, I was shy. I never had any desire to be out there. However, I was geeky. I still am geeky, hence all the geeks names in my career. So I was interested in how it all worked. So how did this technology work? And so I started diving into audio podcasting. And then in October of 2005, Apple announced their very first video iPod. Mm-hmm. You remember this? I know you do. But for everybody else, this was before the iPhone existed. This was the pre-iPhone version, And so they had announced this video iPod, this mobile device where you could take video on the go. And that was obvious to us. So we were like, wow, that's where this is going. So I just kicked into high gear. I'm an all in or all out kind of person. So when I decide to do something, I give it like everything I possibly can, sometimes to my detriment. But so I dug in. 2 months later, had a show, a video podcast, and that's when Apple was releasing it for public sale.
So you heard Adam Curry talk about this thing called podcasting on NPR. Did you have any connection to Adam Curry? Did you know? I mean, other than knowing of him from MTV, were you connected to him?
No, I didn't even know who he was. I was like, "Who's this Adam Curry guy?"
Okay.
And people were like, "Adam Curry."
Yeah.
But I was born in the 80s, and so that really wasn't my time. So I didn't know who he was. I had to be educated on that.
So you heard him on NPR. He talked about this thing called podcasting. You're a geek. It really piqued your interest. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm going to start. You started dabbling with audio. Then you learned about the video iPod. And like, okay, we're going all in on video because there's not going to be a lot of content for these things. And people are going to be wanting content. And so it makes a lot of sense. And this first podcast was geekbrief.tv. How difficult was that for you to launch that first show?
Tremendously difficult. That was probably some of the hardest yet at the same time exciting stuff that I've ever done. So the hard factor didn't play a role. So I was working 2 jobs. Essentially, I was still doing my day job. And then anytime I had a lull in that business, all throughout the night, sometimes I was working, overnights just to get this up and running. Keep in mind that this podcasting thing was brand new and it was all manual. It doesn't, like today, it's all automated. So you don't have to know what an RSS feed is. You don't have to know how to code it. You don't have to know any of the structure behind it. But back then it was all brand new and it was a manual coding process. And so luckily I already knew how to code, but I had to learn the entire processes. I had to learn about video. I didn't know anything about video. I didn't go to school for video production. So I had to budget for a $250 camera at that time that used tape, by the way, still. I just got rid of a box of tapes from that camera. I'm like, oh wait, what am I going to ever do with this box? Anyway, and then I had to learn about lighting. I had to learn about editing. I had to learn how to be on camera. That was probably the most difficult part of the process, is getting in front of the camera. The only reason I got in front of the camera is because I saw this as an opportunity to change my life and my career and have something that I could actually possibly turn into a business. I wasn't sure if it would work, but the opportunity was there, and this was going to be something big, and I needed something other than self-storage to create passion and have creativity in my work. So I was hoping that this could turn into a business. I had no idea it would turn into what it did, but that is the only reason I stepped away from, having no desire to be in front of the camera to doing it and just embracing what I had to get done. I remember the first episode, I called my mom afterwards and I was in tears. Like, I sucked so bad. Now, if I step outside of myself, I look and, 2,000 people watched that very first episode right off the bat. People still watch it today and they say it's awesome. It's awkward because it was my first episode, but it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was. But I called my mom in tears. I was like, I can't do this. I'm just so terrible at this.
One of the things that I know about geekbrief.tv is you started out and you went by the name Callie Lewis. Why did you do that?
Okay, so I'm just going to get a lot personal here and probably TMI, but just so everybody fully understands what was happening. So I was in a very controlling relationship, and turns out that was a pattern in my life until a couple of years ago. And I just accepted what people told me. I accepted what people told me I had to do and who I had to be. And that wasn't any good, but I didn't realize it at the time since it existed from my childhood. So I was told at that time that, my name, it was too hard to pronounce. People wouldn't really accept me for who I was, and not for who I was, but the name, first of all, had to go. We needed to create a character of Callie Lewis, somebody, who was this kind of perfect creation. And so it's kind of hard to describe unless you've kind of seen the flow, but Callie was not fully a character. It was me. However, it was an edited version, I guess, is how you could say that. It wasn't fully authentic. I was constantly told, well, don't be this or don't do that, or, we need to craft this character so that it's a perfect being that people want to follow. So it was me, but it was not me. It was a kind of a complicated situation.
You're no longer Callie Lewis today. We'll come back to that. At least we know now why you chose that. How long into the video podcasting journey was it before you got connected with Pod Show and Adam Curry?
It was very quick because I was one of the first, because there was nothing else to watch on the video iPods. There were very few of us doing anything like it. I definitely had first movers advantage. So, within a couple of weeks, we had a couple thousand people watching, which at that time was like, whoa, that's incredible. That's insane. And then that the snowball kept going, and very shortly our host actually canceled our account, our video host, because at that time hosting was an iffy thing. So hosts weren't prepared for the video revolution. Yep. And they canceled all kinds of people's accounts because they went over their video limit. And so I reached out to Adam. I had been paying attention to him for ever since I heard him on NPR, and he was doing a podcast and he was talking about Pod Show, this network that they were trying to create. And it was in the beginning stages. They did have some people signed to the network, like Don and Drew, and they were early podcasters. They're still doing it today.
Yep.
And they were audio. I reached out to him. He wasn't really prepared yet to launch the video section of their network. But, I described the situation. I was like, hey, we're going down. I need some help. I wanted to really turn this into something. And then we got together and we created a partnership.
Awesome. So that's how you got connected with Adam. You actually reached out to him. I think that's incredibly cool. That's something I didn't know as well, even from our previous time. So,
I will just step in here with a bit of advice. Like, that's the things that have helped my career move forward is because I took that kind of action.
Right.
when I started working with Leo Laporte, which we can touch base on later, but like that took my career to a whole nother level. And I reached out to him. I didn't wait for people to come to me. And so that's been a very, very important part of the way I've approached this business over the years, is just when I want something, I'm going to go find a way to accomplish that.
I love that. And that's an important thing for people to hear. And it's definitely something people should be writing down notes about that and make things happen. Don't wait for people to contact you. You contact them. I love that. Let's talk about Leo Laporte for just a moment, because this is still back in the Geek Brief days.
Yeah.
So when did you reach out to Leo Laporte, and how did you reach out to him, and what did you ask? What was the expectation when you reached out to him?
So, okay, so just to back up for a second. So 5 months later, after I reached out to Adam, after I started the show, he was able to, get us to quit our day job. And so that was our full-time job 5 months later.
5 months in, you're able to quit the self-storage place and do Geek Brief full-time.
Correct.
All right.
So that was pretty incredible.
Where did the money come from?
Advertising. So the contract that we had with Pod Show was they would get advertisements for us, and we had a base level of salary essentially. So we knew that we were going to be able to live regardless of what happened with the advertisements, but they were able to fill ads for the show.
Excellent.
And that was a 4-year contract, by the way. Setting it up for a conversation later.
Right.
So as we moved into 2006, about half a year later, so like at the 7-month mark of me doing this, and again, I had no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Like, this was the Wild West, and I was just figuring it out every day as I went. I had always known about Leo Laporte, followed him on Tech TV. He was kind of he's a huge name in the tech space. He had a cable TV show back in the 90s here in the States. And so he was doing a podcast as well, Twit TV, which you just mentioned. And so I wanted to get his attention. I didn't really have any purpose for that.
Okay.
To be honest, like, I just wanted his attention. I just wanted to be like, hey, I'm here, just so you know. And so what I did was I called his radio show. He, in addition to the podcast, he had a radio show that he then released as a podcast at a later date as well. This was the most nerve-wracking thing for me. Everything that I've done, that I've stepped out of my comfort zone, is just like, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But again, I just did it because I had to, because I needed to make that next step. And so I didn't want to call, but I called in. I've never called in a live radio show before. So I called in. I had a legitimate tech question. So I wasn't quite sure of how to fix it. It had to do with my podcast. Something was going wrong. I don't even remember what it was. And so I called in the radio show and I said, hey, this is Callie Lewis. Or I had told the producer, Callie Lewis, and he picked up on it. Okay. So he actually knew who I was.
Yep.
And again, the same thing with Adam Curry. He knew of what I was doing, but they didn't reach out to me. I had to reach out to them.
Yep.
In order to make something happen. So, he was like, he got on the air, or I got on the air. He was like, wait, is this Callie Lewis from Geek Brief? I was like, score.
Yes.
And so that was like a wow moment for me. And so we had the conversation, and then shortly after, I think it was pretty immediate after we hung up, and I thought, well, that was really cool. That was like super successful, right? And after that, he actually approached me, and he was like, hey, Amber Mack, who is now one of my best friends, she's stopping the co-hosting of a show that they were doing together. Would you like to fill her shoes for the next few months?
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa. Okay. So this was actually on TV, and this was in Canada and Australia.
Oh, yeah. Call for Help Canada.
Exactly. And so Amber was stepping out. She had some other opportunities to take advantage of. And so he asked me to fill her role for 3 months. And again, super scary. I'd never done anything on TV at this point. This stuff was live to tape, and I had always edited everything. So that alone was like tremendously nerve-wracking, because if you mess up, then you mess up, right?
Yeah.
I did that. I just say yes to things and then figure out how to accomplish them. Yep. And
another note that people should be writing down right now.
Yeah. That's probably some of the best stuff that fits my personality. Is I just attack things, and I don't really think about the consequences of it until after.
It's so funny. Recently, I've been doing a lot of coaching and consulting outside of the area of podcasting, and it's a little bit, nerve-wracking, because like, what if I don't have the answers or whatever, this and that, and I'm like, I hold off and I don't do it for a long time, and then finally I'm like, I just announced to my mailing list, hey guys, I am opening 20 spots, 1 hour calls. No long commitment, but just this is one-time deal just to get myself started in the mentoring space. And then I book all of these calls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, I know what I got to do. I need to start the call. and it's been incredible. It's been incredible. Yes. Every single call has been just absolutely incredible. You just know what to do when you are in the spot. But if you keep thinking, well, I just don't know, I have to figure this out, I have to get the right education, I have to do this. No.
I'm not an expert yet, so I can't qualify. Yeah, that all of that is super detrimental to our success.
Yeah, make the decision, schedule it, and just do it.
I don't know how to tell people to I feel like I have beta blockers in my own head. Like I'm just able to switch that gear off and say, I'm just going to do it. I don't know what's coming, but just get it done. And if you can find that switch in your head, and it's not a literal switch, obviously, but something that just says, forget about what all my fears are, and then just go after it. Like, that's the only way to accomplish this stuff.
You get in there with Leo and you do this Call for Help Canada stuff. And now it's that relationship with Leo that you and I are, it's because of that you and I are talking, because that probably is what led to you occasionally coming on to This Week in Tech and Mac Break Weekly and some other shows that he's done. And even in the early days, Leo was talking about you all the time. Even when you weren't on the network, he was talking about you. And that's what, of course, got me connected with you, and also Adam Curry, because I was listening to Adam as well. So it just all worked out. Yeah, I love it. That's how you got connected with Leo. And I'm sure everybody can just understand that these people who had been spending years, even prior to podcasting, building massive audiences, so they already had a great influence in their communities, just by association, just being associated with these people in proximity, it just elevates you to a whole level of credibility that you couldn't have imagined how to orchestrate that. It just happened and fell in your lap in a way.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Although it didn't fall in my lap again.
Well, no, you made it happen
with the attacking, but you make this stuff happen, but it does feel like it falls in your lap even after the fact, because when you approach life and your career like that, then things just happen, and you get to be associated with these names that you wouldn't otherwise get to. And so, it's a combination of kind of falling in your lap and making it happen.
Yes, so you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll never forget the first time I went to Petaluma to go meet Leo face to face. It was this year I had the year of even bigger dreams, and I set big goals, and one of the goals was to meet Leo, and I had achieved all the other goals on my list, and I tweeted, oh my gosh, I just realized sitting here watching This Week in Tech being recorded live in a studio audience, I have now achieved every goal I've ever set for myself. I guess I need to set some bigger goals. And the first comment was, you're so lucky. And then I'm like, no, I'm not lucky. I didn't just happen to wake up one morning and I'm in Petaluma. I drove here. This isn't luck.
Where does this happen?
I made this happen. I love that. It does
feel lucky. It feels, kind of you're on the top of the world when this stuff happens.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. So what were some of your favorite memories, or what's some of your favorite things about the early days of Pod Show and Geek Brief?
The early days were just a magical time. I had no idea what I was doing. I had zero experience. I was figuring out, like I said, every day, just figuring out something new, working my ass off. Hopefully I can say that here. And just attacking it and trying things constantly. People loved our ads, our advertisements. And that's a weird thing to say, right? Like, people love my ads. That's because I was trying different things. I was trying to see what worked and what didn't. And I just have this long history of breaking stuff in order to figure out what's good, what's bad, and then move forward from there. And, for example, we had a GoDaddy ad, and I literally did it on green screen, talked to myself. So there were two of me kind of talking to each other, and so we were just playing. And that was the environment in, I think, all podcasting at that time. It was the Wild West, and it was such a small community. Yep. We all knew each other. We all kind of helped each other out. I think, I definitely look back on that time as a wonderful time because it was a small community and we were supportive of each other. There wasn't any competition. Yeah. And it was just a magical time.
If there's anything that I miss, it is the fact that when there was only a few hundred of us out there and we all knew each other, and those were incredible days. But, the cool thing is though most of us are still around. And we still all have this relationship, which is incredible. And we're still out there looking for ways to help each other. And we're still not, now obviously other people have come on board and they see competition and it's like they're trying to dominate or whatever. Yeah. But I, at least for me, and tell me if this is the same for you, a lot of those people that we were connected with then, that community feeling of us, how can we help each other? I think among us, I still see that.
Oh, absolutely. I just reconnected with Natalie. Well, not reconnected. We've been in touch, but like Natalie Del Conte, now Natalie Morris, Amber Mack, I still talk to. I reach out to, the early day podcasters a lot. Not a lot, maybe not as much as I probably should, but I agree with that. Like, we all have this bond, and that has stuck through to today, even though we're all kind of off doing our own things. From time to time, we reconnect and do something together, and that's awesome. Yeah. And I think we could still create that, even in this mass podcasting world that exists today.
So I'm following your journey and I'm tuned into Geek Brief, and next thing I know, there's this wrap things up. If you want to continue, and I'm following your social media channels, and it's like, if you want to continue to get shows on a consistent basis, you've got to check out geekbeat.tv. So tell me what happened there. What's the transition there?
So it was really interesting. A couple of things ended right at the same time and caused me to have to rebrand. So my 4-year contract with Podshow, then called Mevio. Sorry, I've got the Mevo camera, and now I keep screwing up. So that 4-year contract was coming to an end, and on that side, the terms weren't something 4 years later that I felt comfortable with we couldn't come to a renegotiation in terms of what I wanted at that time. Now, at that time that 4-year contract ended, I felt taken advantage of, and I was pretty angry at Adam and Ron, who owned Mevio. But looking back now, I realized, I signed a contract that got me to where I am. I did what I had to do. It wasn't a bad contract. They weren't really taking advantage of me. It was a contract for a naive, inexperienced person that set me up for 4 years. So, at the time I was pretty angry about it and then we couldn't come to a renegotiation, and, but you're in a different time period in your life and you have more experience. So looking back now, I feel like, yes, I should have signed that contract. That was a good contract to sign because I am here now because of it. Right. So the second thing that happened was I was getting a divorce. And that happened right at the same time as the contract negotiation. And some really bad stuff happened and I had no choice but to get a divorce. And so while all of that was going on, I had about 6 months earlier had met a guy who became my partner for Geek Beat. And he seemed, really capable and really knowledgeable in the world of business. He was a millionaire, and he said he wanted to help, get the show back up and running and move forward. So we partnered up and we started Geek Beat. So that was pretty much the same show,
right?
just a different name and different place. And so, we kicked that off pretty much the same day that it was the same day that we announced that Geek Brief was over. I announced that Geek Beat started.
Did that actually get purchased or connect with Revision 3 at some point?
Didn't get purchased, got licensed by Revision 3.
Okay. How did that work? What was the deal there? What kind of agreement did you reach to work that out, and how did that come about?
Pretty similar to the first contract. As opposed to owning. So Mevo Podshow owned part of Geek Brief.
Okay.
So that was the part that kind of unsettled me after a while, because it was my baby and I was putting all the work into it, right? But then Geek Brief was licensed to Revision 3. So they didn't own the content or they didn't own the name, but they licensed it so that they could sell ads against it.
Gotcha. And then you just split revenue on the ads that they broadcasted. Correct. On that. Gotcha.
Yeah. That became Discovery after a while.
Gotcha. So that went on for a while, and then out of nowhere, it's like, hey, we're building the Geek House in Dallas, Texas, I think, right?
Right.
So what is the Geek House? And boy, do I remember some very excited people giving us lots of walkthroughs. It's like, check out this place and look at this studio. I loved it. It was great. I'm jealous. I want one of these. But I'm thinking you're going to tell me maybe, where that jealousy might be misplaced. So I'd love to hear a little bit of the story about the rise and fall of the Geek House.
And it rose and fell pretty quickly. It fell pretty quickly. So the Geek House was an 8,000 square foot studio and office space. My partner felt that we needed to step it up a notch, or 10 or 20. Literally, we had I think it was like 1,400 square foot studio office space before. And, there were frustrations with it. And then he wanted to put a lot of money and effort into kind of making us seem bigger than we were. This is my 2020 vision speaking.
Yeah.
So, the effort with the Geek House was to become bigger and badder than everybody else, and show the world that we were freaking awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, it worked. We all felt it. It's like, they're freaking awesome.
Again, he was a millionaire, so he put his own he put his own kind of backing on that.
Yeah.
And literally, to just 100% transparency, we were not making anywhere near the amount of money that it would have required to buy that building and to make that a part of our business model. But that I wasn't really allowed to talk about that at all. And we basically were shifting, the expectation. And so, money literally was going downwards. The audience was going downwards, because I think everybody was experiencing this during that time period as well. Numbers were going down for everybody. But so numbers were going down. Money wasn't coming in quite as much as it had been. I was doing a lot of exterior work for Panasonic and for Samsung and for all these different names as a host. So is basically they would hire me to go do their videos. That was really what we were relying on for income. And that whole show lasted 5 years. 2 of those years, I didn't take an income at all.
Personally?
And I'm not personally.
Wow.
Because the business was in that bad of shape.
How did you get by I mean, just personally?
I'm a saver. So when I was making income, and I never made that much, I just always saved it. I don't like things. I'm more of a giver. So I just don't need a lot. And so the only thing I've ever really spent money on is my paddleboard, my stand-up paddleboard, and so
wow.
That's just not who I am. I just don't spend a lot. So luckily I had savings. And so, we weren't I wasn't taking that money, that income, and it was really starting to drain me from just a standpoint of a mental standpoint. I'm going through all the money I have. I don't see a future where I can turn this around. The business is bleeding tremendous amounts. I like the word tremendous, apparently.
Yeah, that's fine. I have my own repeating phrases, and when I kill one, I pick up at least two more. So
exactly, and so it was just a really bad time. As awesome as it looked from the outside, it was a really bad time. And again, and from a personal standpoint, TMI information, I was also growing up. I had started the show in my early 20s, Geek Brief. Got away from a bad marriage, realized around this time that the Geek House was happening, because I became very aware of how other people perceived me, just growing up process. I became aware that I was right back into another controlling situation, only this time it was a partnership, a business partnership. And, I just kept realizing more and more how much I was just still in this situation that I had lived my entire life, and I wanted to get rid of it and realize that I needed to make some changes if I was going to be happy. I was going through a really super, during all the Geek House stuff, I was super depressed. I was miserable. I was going home. I was alone. I didn't have friends. I didn't have, a partner. I was crying myself to sleep a lot, most nights, and I was just unhappy. And then I met a friend, who is now my boyfriend, but, for a long time it was just a pure friendship, and he treated me okay. He didn't try and change me, and he approached me from just an acceptance level of who I am, and he didn't tell me who to be or what to say all the time. And he just, by being my friend, he encouraged me to step out into being okay, being who I was. And then as I kept growing, just personally, I realized stuff has to change. Right. I cannot continue this.
And I do recall the announcement that it was the end of Geek Beat. I'd love to talk more about what's going on today. You transitioned. The first thing that I noticed is that it's hey, I am ending Geek Beat. I'm getting ready to leave here. Again, I'm getting most of this through your social media channels now. And I'm getting ready to launch, I think, Geeks University or Geeks
Life.
Geeks Life.
Oh, and then Geeks University as well.
Yeah, so Geeks Life, and it's going to be my network, and it's going to be all. It's not just technology; it's going to be anything and everything geek. And so I'm starting to get excited. But the biggest thing was all of a sudden it's and by the way, I'm dropping Callie Lewis. I'm going with Luria Petrucci. Wow. Tell us a little bit about you. So you had to draw a line in the sand. You had to leave that partnership, and tell me, what did you move to, and how's that been?
So it's been hard, I gotta say, but wonderful all at the same time. I've spent the last, I spent a year probably after that transition just figuring out who I am and what I wanted out of my career and life and all of that. And it's hard to do that publicly. Let's face it, that is a very difficult transition to make while people are watching and judging, which you've experienced.
Yep.
So that part has been tremendously hard because it's just it's every step I make, I'm being judged for that. And I had to learn how to say, you know what, this is my instinct, and I'm going to trust this instinct. And that I never have been able to accomplish in my entire life. And so I finally have learned for the most part, how to trust those instincts and just move forward with what I feel is right. And I've made all kinds of mistakes along the way. We did launch Geeks Life with more of a lifestyle approach, and I wanted to explore movies, and I wanted to explore food, and I wanted to have all of these different passions of mine. I have since realized that you have to focus in business and in content. And so I've taken that back to technology, but more of a lifestyle approach to technology.
I like that.
And it's working out extremely well now that I've finally figured it out. It kind of went through several variations. And thank God my audience loves me because they stuck with me through it all. So that's why you create a loyal not fan base, but viewership or listener base. You got to create that loyalty and that friendship with them so that they stick around when things go down the drain.
Yep.
And so, with my name, I realized that the Callie brand, that's one of the things that was holding me back and that was causing me so much pain and so much struggle, and why I was so miserable, because I was trying to be this perfect person that was crafted. Even my bloopers, even though I showed a real human side to myself, those bloopers were crafted. They were picked and chosen for the beauty in them, right? And so everything about my life, like I wouldn't have a drink of wine out in public in case somebody captured a photo of me, because that's not who Callie was. I couldn't curse, and even though I do sometimes, and it was driving me insane. Right. Because I wasn't able to be fully authentic me. So that's why I got rid of Callie, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to go by my real name. I just need to let go of everything in my past. I need to move on. I need to get rid of this controlling relationship pattern that I'd had in my entire life. And I just needed to break free. And that was the only way I could see to do that.
I can imagine that must have, while it made you gave a lot of reasons why you felt like it was holding you back, and it almost sounds like it's an easy decision to just say, you know what, forget that. But how many years of branding did you have behind Callie Lewis?
10 years.
So
10 years.
So you figure everybody who's ever heard you for 10 years in any media outlet anywhere has only known you, well, most of them only knew you as Callie Lewis. Obviously, you've told people, Callie's not my real name in a lot of different venues and areas, but so some of us knew. But yeah, that had to be a very difficult decision at the same time where it was a very cathartic decision. Right, totally. You hit it on the head. It was just, it was something that I fretted over constantly. And I thought, well, maybe I'll spend a 3 to 5 year process of getting rid of my name. Now that I look back at that, I'm like, I don't know how I was going to try and accomplish that. I called my agent in Hollywood. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And he surprise, he was supportive of the decision. I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting every reason why I need to keep my brand, because that's what everybody else was telling me. And he was like, you know what? Celebrities change their name all the time. It's fine. You just got to rebrand. I was like, oh, okay. And then I used it in one behind the scenes video. I was like, hey, I'm Luria Petrucci, because it was a heart to heart with my community. And I felt like it just needed to come from me. Yeah. And immediately the reaction was like, oh my God, you're using your real name. I love it. This is awesome. Fantastic. And I was like, wait, what? Like, that wasn't even my transition. That wasn't my plan. And they accepted it, and they were all excited about it. So I said, let's just do it. And then from that moment on. I love that. There are two things. We'll come back to the agent thing, because that was that came out of nowhere. But but the other thing is the authenticity of people all these years. I can tell you there might have been people telling you that people want a Callie Lewis, but I can tell you right now, I can speak on behalf of your overall community. I don't think any of them would get mad at me, although many things they probably get mad at me about. But this one, we all always, it wasn't Callie Lewis. It was Luria that we were connected to the whole time. Right. It really was. And it's who we wanted. We wanted the authentic you.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that. And I've heard that a lot from everybody. And there are very few people who are like, well, I really like Kelly better.
Oh, wow. Hey, when you're in this space long enough, you earn your dedicated online haters. I mean,
oh, yeah. But, to them, I've learned how to say, well, then this show isn't for you anymore, and be totally 100% okay with that.
Yes.
Like through building my own business, because now I don't have a partner. I have a partner. I have partners because I view my team as partners, and my boyfriend who works with me now, like we're all partners in this. But in terms of the absolute, like, this is all in my name and this is my control. Oh my God. I've had those moments like, I don't want it. I don't want the control. But it is. And I am ultimately responsible for all the decisions that are made here. And through that process, because now I don't have a partner saying, we have to do this, or this is where I'm putting my money, so follow along. Then, I've learned that, one, you have to focus. Like, that's been tremendously valuable for me, the focus scenario. And then also that I don't want everybody watching me. I had a video go viral last year, and I honestly really wish it wouldn't have. Because the people you draw who aren't your community, who aren't really for you, just constant attacks. Like, I'm dealing with this every day now. And it was a year ago that it went crazy. And I still deal with attacks on a daily basis just from that one video, where my community doesn't do that. Right. So I've learned that it's totally okay to not reach everybody. And I have my own personality. And if you love me for that, then awesome. If you don't, then go find somebody who do, because there are 135,000 podcasters out there. Go find somebody you like.
That's right. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your authenticity, your transparency, sharing so much of this. I know that so many people are going to be encouraged and inspired because they think, first of all, there are going to be people who think, I never knew. She's been perfect. I can't. I've always wanted to be exactly. It's like,
I am so screwed up, just like everybody else.
We're all screwed up, aren't we? Seriously, yes, we're all so screwed up. So anyway, I appreciate you sharing all of that. And we could go on and on about so many other things. But really, to end things here, to wrap things up, I want to make sure I give you the opportunity to share what you're most excited about today. And if anybody wants to continue to follow your entrepreneurial journey and to learn from you, especially with live streaming and things like that, I want to give you the opportunity to share that and plug it and be as self-promotional as you want.
Okay. Well, absolutely. I want to be self-promotional. But before I get to that, I just one other lesson that I've really learned, and I think people need to hear certain people need to hear, is that branding really doesn't matter all that much. It is about you and your personality. The brands that I've gone through 4 different brands. And it truly, as scary as all of that transition was, it doesn't ultimately matter. Yep. Yes, there are ups and downs through a transition of branding and shifting and pivoting, but it really ultimately is okay to go through that. And I know that that's something that I have been scared every single time of, and it just makes me stay up at night. And I want to encourage you, if you're dealing with something similar and having to make a pivot, then it's okay. And sometimes in business, it's absolutely necessary. So go for it when you feel that that's right.
I love that.
Okay, so now I'll get to the pitchy. Now with Geeks University. So Geeks Life is our consumer brand. That's our tech lifestyle kind of brand where we just geek out all the time and have a blast. That's geekslife.com. Geeks University is a big passion of mine. It's been something that I've built from scratch, which is exciting because it's not my same old personality. It's something brand new, and this has been over the last year. Geeks University is where we teach businesses, entrepreneurs, how to grow their brands using video and live streaming. And really, our focus these days is live streaming because that's where it's at. And I've been doing live streaming since 2007. If people don't even realize it's been around that long. But on a mobile device, like you can do with Facebook Live. And so that's been just my big passion lately, is growing that business. And I can't tell you how awesome it is to help other people learn how to do what I've been doing for the last 11 years. This is such an amazing, I help people geek out about stuff, but on the business side of things, I help people actually make a difference in their business. And that is just amazing to me that can exist. So we've been helping Orange County Choppers and even GoDaddy, and we do streaming for AT&T. But even with all those big names, which is awesome. I love helping the small entrepreneurs make a big difference in their business. So if you want to learn about live streaming, then we have a free video series at geeksuniversity.com/livestream.
There you go, geeksuniversity.com/livestream. I encourage everyone listening to this to take their message, their business, and their life to the next level by jumping in there and playing around with the idea of live streaming. It's huge on Facebook right now, and Luria is a pioneer in that space. And
we're live for 2 hours every single day.
Yeah, it's incredible. Luria, again, thank you so much. It's been an honor to call you friend all of these years, and this hour of conversation has been incredible. And so thank you so much.
Thank you, Cliff. It's an honor for me, and you're doing amazing work. So thank you.
Well, there you go, my friends. That is my interview that I had with Luria Petrucci, and I am so delighted that I got to know a lot more about her background, her story, and it's always fun to hear how people are processing their own entrepreneurial journey. And I know that I've taken a page and a half of notes, just of little insights here and there, and I am certain that each of you who have been listening have found your own insights that are going to help you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. Before I wrap things up, I do want to let you know that my next session of Podcasting A to Z is coming up on Monday, October 3rd. This will be my 27th session of Podcasting A to Z. And so far, over 580 folks have already gone through Podcasting A to Z, where they had direct access to me, where they could ask me any question they want. And during a 4-week period of time, I answered every single one of their questions as their personal coach, walking them through every step in the process of successfully launching their podcast. And if you've been following me on Facebook, you consistently see me announcing the launch of people's shows, and it's always an exciting thing to see people put their message online. If you have been thinking about creating a podcast, I would love to have this honor to be your personal coach. This is the final session of 2016. So if you are looking to launch a podcast and you want to kick 2017 off right, for your business or your personal passion, whatever the case may be, if you want to launch a podcast, I would love to work with you. Head over to podcastingatoz.com to learn about all the details. If you have any questions, you can, of course, email me, cliff@podcastanswerman.com. I look forward to the possibility of working with you. Well, my friends, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you again. Again, be sure to reach out to Luria. Tell her that you heard about her on the show, or at least if you already know her, that you heard her on the show and that you enjoyed her being here. And of course, also be sure to check out geeksuniversity.com/livestream. And until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do in life to the next level.